Hi, and welcome to Z Games. Recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios in Brisbane and broadcast nationally over the Community Radio Network, Z Games brings you the latest gaming news, reviews and interviews from across Australia and around the world.
You might be listening to us on 102.1 FM on Z Digital in Brisbane, or around the country on the Community Radio Network, or around the world online. This is Z Games. We're going to be hanging out with you for the next little bit. My name's Jack.
My name's Millie.
I'm Reza.
And I'm Caitlin.
Hey, that's a new person.
Hello.
So,
what's up?
Millie, we brought you in a few weeks ago.
Yeah, man.
A little while ago.
Yeah.
Everything was falling apart.
Oh, yeah. It was like it was like the meme, "This is fine," happening.
Yeah.
Like Adrian was like screaming in the corner. You were like frantically clicking a frozen computer, and then,
Yes.
like Ray was over there just like, "This happens." I was slightly terrified about what was going to happen next, but it went pretty good at the end.
But so far, I feel like it's been pretty smooth.
Oh yeah.
Ish,
Yeah.
in your experience?
Yeah, no, it's been good.
Not too many hiccups.
I'm having a good time.
We've got a review coming up later in the show of Night in the Woods.
Yes.
An oldie but a goodie.
Big
Yeah,
deals.
I mean, it's been out for,
Year and a half?
year
Yeah.
and a half, February 2017.
So it's been a while. There was like an autumn update that was kind of like the director's cut version of it.
Yeah.
And you deeply love and appreciate this game.
I love this game so much that I have cosplayed it multiple
my
times, and I have
God.
it tattooed upon my body.
Oh my god, you have to show us now.
Yes. All right, let me get my ankles out. Hang on.
Oh, whip that ankle out.
There we go.
God.
And I've got another one on my other ankle, but yes.
That's for another time. That's
Another time. You're going to whip out the ankles.
Yeah,
Next
I'm
show,
gonna
next show.
stagger it. Like, I can't give you everything at once.
I understand.
and I'm also going to be chatting about Spyro because I begged Activision for it, and it happened.
Purple Dragon moods.
Aw.
It was a little while ago when Crash Bandicoot was out, and I'm like, Activision, I'm just going to say, like, just in case you want to bring out Spyro, like, I'm just saying, just you and me, man, just, like, do it, you know? And then they did it,
I know.
and I have a few reservations.
Oh, really?
Oh,
But it's okay, because we'll get to that later on. For now, we have the week in gaming news headlines, Ray.
Roger that, Jack. Steam, the leading digital storefront for PC games, will finally display prices in Australian dollars. Customers that had funds in their wallet will find them converted at the current market value. The prices displayed also include GST. The change has been a long time coming. Valve first announced the intent to allow Australians to shop in local currency back in 2014.
So, there's been a little bit more as far as development goes on this one. There were, like, the games changed from USD to AUD.
Right.
And it was like, sick, cool. That was a good conversion. And then they bumped the prices up to be retail
Of course they did.
recommended price. So I think it was AC Origin was one of them. I think it went up to $69.95.
What?
And then they bumped it to $89.95.
No,
Are you kidding me?
AC Odyssey, whatever the new one is.
Oh, the new one. I was going to say the old
No,
one.
not Origin. I mean,
$86.
I wouldn't be surprised if like COD 4 is still sitting at like $50.
Well, that's COD though, because everyone will pay money for COD.
COD 4? That thing came out like 10
people.
years ago.
You know who I'm talking about.
is out now.
Oh, I love COD.
They always sound beautiful. It's just, it's a great picture.
Sips Mountain Dew.
Yeah, so the switch to Australian pricing has not been without bumps. It has been a long time coming. I feel like they've been talking about it for at least last year.
Yeah, they should have really done it earlier. I mean, it's not like they don't have the resources of billions of dollars at their
It's not like
disposal.
they're rolling in money.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The audacity, honestly.
That company's a mess, I swear.
What's that next story?
Microsoft is working on a version of the Xbox One that will not have a disk drive, according to a report by Thurrott. The console would be limited to playing games purchased and installed from Xbox's online store, but could have a price cut of up to $100. An initiative nicknamed Disc to Digital would allow users who owned physical game discs to trade them in at retail outlets for download keys. Sources said that this device would serve as something of a test drive for a discless home console, indicating that Microsoft is considering going fully digital for its next generation Xbox.
Oh, good.
I disagree.
I'm disappointed.
But there's your question answered. You were like, why? Because it drops $100.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
that's
thing, but
possible.
I'm like, I like things.
It's not worth it.
I like things.
Because, I mean, digital pricing on the Xbox store and on the PlayStation store I feel like retailers have pretty aggressive deals on games that have come out more than 6 months ago.
Yeah,
For sure.
They
That
really
doesn't
do.
carry over typically to digital
Definitely
storefronts.
not.
You also can't do like secondhand things
No.
like that. It completely cuts out that whole.
The whole like
Market.
experience. I'm going to sound like a boomer here, but that whole like. But cassettes are an institution. Exactly. Like sort of like that whole feel of like actually discussing like and holding the games in your hand sort of thing. I really like things. I like touchable things. That sounds sus.
No, not at all.
On the radio.
I like physically being able to see my collection instead of,
and like,
have you seen my Steam library of 300 games?
oh my god, I'm triggered. I'm triggered. Don't do this to me, Jack.
Sony had a little go at this a little while ago with the PSP Go. It was their their discless version
Yes.
of the handheld PSP console, and it tanked spectacularly.
So did the PSP though. So
Oh,
you know.
no.
No, the PSP was
PSP sold
gangbusters.
70 mil. Problem was piracy was rampant.
Yeah.
So it was very easy to crack and load, like side load games and side load custom firmware. PSP Go, literally all they changed was, you can't put a UMD in now.
Great.
You can still pirate the
Yeah.
hell out of everything on it, which is, a problem. The Vita had similar problems as well. PS TV as well. Yeah, look.
Honestly, the PSP Go, I think, was a little ahead of its time.
Absolutely.
I think something like that coming out today would do really well because, I mean, we've all got our phones and we don't care about not shoving cartridges into them.
The thing is,
that's
okay,
fair.
the thing is, I doubt so much that Microsoft are, they've forgotten what happened in 2013 already. Like, they already tried to be like, we're going to have it so that all physical games have digital licenses that you then have to deal with, and taking it into a retailer, you have to do like some weird exchange crap. I appreciate that by making it an option that they kind of sidestep a lot of the problems there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really, and like the disc to digital, it's the same thing, and it's like, kind of gross.
Yeah. It's very
I
dodgy.
wouldn't mind seeing like two SKUs, kind of two versions of the console, one without a disc and one with a disc. For those of us not in Australia but elsewhere who have decent internet
That's
access,
the thing.
where being fully digital is actually an option that is viable.
Not in Australia.
No.
Here in Australia, we're not there yet.
No.
And we still need our discs.
They couldn't even put all 3 Spyro games onto the one disc.
Are you joking?
I'll talk about that later.
Spoiler. It's full letter of the program.
Spoilers.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I don't think it's a bad idea. And I agree with you that I think that in today's sort of market with Steam and everything like that, I think it could do okay. But
And giving people a choice
Giving people a choice,
as opposed to forcing it on them.
It's
Yeah,
just
that choice is
that
good.
sale and like secondhand thing. I just,
Don't wanna give up.
run away from people completely.
PlayStation will not have a presence at next year's E3 convention in a surprising announcement made by Sony last week. The Electronics Entertainment Expo is held annually in Los Angeles and serves as the biggest trade show worldwide, where game makers typically go to great lengths to impress current and potential customers. Microsoft and Nintendo were quick to jump on the announcement, confirming that they do indeed have plans for the expo.
Wonder why.
Because they're rolling in money. Who cares?
They're like, we'll announce PS5 when we want to, and we'll do our own expo. Okay.
Yeah.
Literally the opposite of what Bethesda did, though, because Bethesda, not last year, but the year before, I had the misfortune of having to write like an article on that. And it was so obvious that they were like, we got locked into like a 3-year contract or something, so we're just kind of showing up and saying, here's some stuff, as opposed to just leaving that money on the table.
my
Sony obviously would have been locked into like being there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just like, let's just not go there to just show how above the rest of the industry we are. And I'm like,
Make a better system.
really?
Well, mine chugs so bad.
I mean, I love my PS4.
I love it,
I
but
can't
oh my god.
It's just like what, I know they're going to have Nintendo, they're going to have Microsoft, but it's going to like drastically reduce the amount of stuff.
I think that it kind of frees up opportunity for Xbox and Nintendo to kind of push their agenda a little bit more.
For sure.
Not only because of the fact that they have like a press conference, but they have there's so much more space on that show floor freed up now for press and business to come along and see what they're what they're putting out there.
I mean, it's not like we're not going to see PlayStation games on display. All of the third-party developers will still be showing their PlayStation games, many of which I assume will be exclusives as well.
Like a lot of like Japanese companies, I imagine, will just be still PS4 exclusive, and so they'll be there.
Yeah.
But PS4 first party,
That's
to our
right.
understanding, won't be there.
Yeah, and that does send a kind of a bad message to potential customers. I don't think it's like a terribly good sign of goodwill. It seems to, like you said, Jack, before, it reeks of elitism.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're doubling Microsoft in console sales this gen. Nintendo, they're catching up. I mean, their rate is phenomenal, but they're still, in third place right now. And it really sucks that PlayStation don't, I'm just speculating as to the reason why they're not doing it.
We want PlayStation to be good guy PlayStation.
Yeah.
Just dog the boys.
We're too good for this.
Exactly.
PlayStation.
Like we've seen last generation with Xbox, like Pride Before the Fall.
Oh yeah.
And it would suck to tap into Sony.
Well, I mean, it's already happened. It was called the PlayStation 3. Kaz Hirai, you will get a second job to buy this console. Just a bit of a fun throwback there. Sorry about that. That was the week in gaming news headlines. Hi, hello. You're hanging out on Zed Games with Jack, Caitlin, Millie, and Ray.
Welcome back.
Welcome. It's great to have you this evening, tonight, whatever time you're listening to this.
Current affair.
Definitely not watching because the Twitch stream fell apart that we tried to test. It's fine. I'm not going to try and pretend it didn't happen. But
We tried. That's all that matters.
something that I don't need to pretend happened is Spyro is back. I just sorry that was a little bit much. But
I was not expecting that.
But that's how much Spyro is back, right? Like that's
he's just back. He's back.
that's how much I'm just so okay. So Spyro Reignited Trilogy, PS4, same 3 games that you played when you were like a little bit younger.
See, I was a Crash kid, so I miss Spyro. But
That's okay because you also played 64,
I did.
and I'm going to address questions about that as well.
Okay, cool.
So, Spyro 1, 2, 3, PS1, 98, 99, 2000. All of them are on the one disc. Incorrect. So, so you get all 3 games, but they're not actually on the disc. So when you get home, you can play 1 off the disc because it's all there. Spyro 2 and 3 you need to download as an update. So it's not like a DLC code you need to redeem with PlayStation Store. You can't like buy a second-hand copy of it. Well, Artisan's getting weird. Shut that down. So you can't like get a second-hand copy and you don't have access to games 2 and 3. It's always just going to be an update.
Okay, all right.
But you need to be mindful of that. If you don't have an internet connection,
Yeah.
this is a 20 gig update.
Oh my god.
You gotta have that space too.
So, I mean, it's not quite as big or as obnoxious as like a Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 HD remix, or as obnoxious as the name. But
Kingdom Hearts in general.
it's something that you should be mindful of when you're going out to retail and picking up the game. Obviously, if you're buying digitally, non-issue. But retail, you get Spyro 1 on the disc.
Okay.
Thoughts on the game in general?
Tell me.
So, Spyro the Dragon.
Purple
Yes.
Boy.
Purple Boy, beautiful, sweetheart, sweet baby angel. I love him so much.
Smoky Boy.
I feel like you were either PS1 or N64 during that era. PS1, you had Spyro and Crash and Croc and Ape Escape.
Yes.
You might not have been across all of them, but you had some.
Yes.
N64 had Banjo-Kazooie,
Yep.
Mario 64.
Yep.
People pretty regularly, I feel, draw parallels between Spyro and Banjo.
Yes.
And I'm
the
like,
song.
yes, but Banjo-Kazooie had puzzle elements from day one.
Yes.
There was a lot of puzzle elements in that game. Spyro 1 does not have that. So when you're jumping in as a Banjo-Kazooie player and you're like, oh, I'll try Spyro out. I didn't really play it. I kind of missed the boat. I want to go back and see if I
Yeah, see, that was
if I
me.
enjoy this. You go back and you're like, where's the puzzles? Where's the things to interact with?
Yeah.
The platforming can be a little bit fiendish towards the end of the game, but it is only collection. It is just, like, that's all Spyro 1 is about. So you're going around, you're freeing dragons that have been trapped in crystal, you're picking up treasure, and you're getting eggs off the thieves.
Yeah.
That's it. So,
Yeah.
take that as you will. Spyro 2 and 3, though, have the puzzles.
Okay.
So,
It's just the first one.
it's just the first one,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I don't mind. I enjoy the very I think streamlined is a very good word, like way to kind of put it. It's very straightforward. It's very simple and clean. It's good.
Yeah.
Go into Spyro 2, then you have orb challenges. So talisman challenges are just you get through the level. Sometimes there can be a little bit of some tricky platforming or trying to interact with enemies.
Yeah.
Orb challenges are a little bit more involved. So this will be like trying to find in like a nook or a cranny, like a character that's like, oh, here's a quest basically.
Right.
And so you have to go around and find all of the statues in a level,
Yeah.
or you need to, feed enough fish to an idol as sacrifice. like that
Dragon
kind of
things.
Yeah, right? Like that kind of thing. And Spyro 3 has a lot of the same kind of stuff as well.
Okay.
But in Spyro 3, you don't have talisman and orb challenges, you just have eggs for everything. So it kind of
Right.
brings it back a little bit less confusing.
Sure.
See, that's really that sounds very similar to Crash Bandicoot 2 because you got the crystals, the main power crystal challenge, and you got the extra crystals, and then you've got relics
Yeah.
as well as a time trial.
So you don't have any time trials like that in Spyro.
Right. So it's just the two. So
Yeah. So you've got like treasure, and then you've got like orb or egg challenges.
okay.
In Spyro 2, it gets a little bit messy because it's like talisman is like basically an orb to finish the level. But yeah, you get the point.
I get the point. Yeah. I get it.
Recently, I feel like there's been a lot of stories come out about the fact that there aren't any subtitles for a lot of the cutscenes, which for hard of hearing players can be a bit of a concern. The cutscenes are not particularly common in these games. Spyro 1, it is a valid concern because all of the dragons are voiced, and dragons, like a lot of the personality of the game comes through these characters.
Right.
You're not really in a position to appreciate a lot of that outside of obviously the animation.
Yeah.
But you can't hear the talent and the charm and the writing come through in their voice. Spyro 2 and 3, that's kind of remedied by a lot of text bubbles that happen a lot through the game.
That's
So just
good.
interacting with NPCs, 2 and 3, non-issue.
Yeah.
Cutscenes through all of the games in general, there's not too many of them, so it's not really a big problem. But in Spyro 1, you don't have any like text bubbles or anything for all the dragons.
That's a bit of an issue.
Definitely.
To be honest, as someone who's already played those games, I basically skipped all the dragons anyway.
Yeah, that wouldn't bother you too much.
Right, like, there is a lot of animation, a lot of charm in how the characters look and act.
Oh, yeah.
Way more than you would expect.
Yeah, I've
'cause-
seen like screenshots and stuff and some like snippets of the game and like they're just so much more characters in these dragons than like you
so
put
much,
the,
they're so
the
expressive.
expression.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you see the side by sides of like the PlayStation 1 and then this one. It's like,
Oh my
what
God,
is
yeah.
that primitive nonsense on the side there? When like that was someone's childhood, obviously, but now you look at this new thing, it's like, wow, we've come so far and it's going to be so good.
It's a bit of a change of, like, tone in some cutscenes as well.
Oh, yeah?
Because obviously in the first ones, there wasn't as much animation, there wasn't
It
as
was
much
just
being
like a sock
expressed.
puppet, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit better than that, but yeah, you're right. Like, much more Spartan.
Blocky sock puppet.
Yeah, much more Spartan.
Yeah.
In this one, it can seem a little bit like when you turn on like kids shows and they're like over exaggerating some details. It's not to the point where it's like actually harmful, but it's like that's a pretty noticeable
bit too
tone
much
difference.
wiggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you kind of start Spyro 2, you have a cutscene with Allura and Spyro and Hunter, and they are like way more like, let me kind of mansplain a little bit to you. Not obviously mansplain, but you know what I mean, right? Like,
Yeah, I get you.
and that kind of took me by surprise. I'm like, okay. I mean, I certainly feel like a 5-year-old, but I don't want to be told to feel like a 5-year-old right now. Leave me alone. One thing that definitely made me feel like a 5-year-old, though, is holy crap, they reworked some of the jumping and gliding mechanics.
Yeah.
So as far as like how they feel in this day and age, they feel really good, really tight. The turning circle on Spyro's charge is kind of so-so. It's a little bit tanky. If it was a little bit tighter, that you could like, kind of like charge and turn,
Yeah.
just pivot, that'd be good.
Pivot.
But
Pivot.
Silicon Valley.
Carry couches
Pivot.
up the stairs.
Anyway,
Pivot.
yeah, the problem is when you have some of the more challenging gliding in the game, they have kind of changed how the glide works and the level design and the distance between things to the point where a lot of the kind of further off jumps, you will just face plant into them and die.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing that I had with Crash.
A lot of people had that with
the
Crash
new
too.
Crash trilogy, just you can tell that they've tweaked the jumping to try and make it better. But because back in the day, the jumping with in the sort of dodgy mechanics actually worked for you.
Yeah.
So you hit the platform because of your
Hitbox.
hitbox. There you go. Because your hitbox was like weirdly big
Yeah.
because of Crash's model. But now because they've tightened it, you think you're going to make that jump.
You don't.
to the side of the platform.
They weirdly also introduced a mechanic where, like, in some platformers, you'll jump, miss a ledge, and your character will, like, jump onto it or grab onto it. In Spyro, obviously, none of that ever really happened because you would glide and, like, he's already used his wings to get there.
Right.
In this one, if you get right onto the very corner of the thing, sometimes he'll do, like, a little flap, like another hover.
Yeah, so they've tried to fix it.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But in some of the bigger jumps, it doesn't really work.
No. Yeah.
Jack, I've got some broader questions about the game.
Ask me some broader questions about the game.
There we go.
I played the game when it was originally released.
I also did.
Bit of an old guy over here. I was a child at that time.
I'm 14.
I'm imagining that
He is.
you were a child also when you first.
I was playing it
Spyro.
in 2001 as a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
baby boy.
So is this release for the people that have already played it and want that nostalgia hit who played it as children, or do you think that the games hold up as like modern games?
I think it absolutely holds up.
Yeah?
So the Crash games were really... People really loved them and enjoyed those because they were very streamlined, very simple. You're kind of down a shotgun hallway and you're trying to deal with all of the challenges that come with that. Obviously, Crash 2 and 3, they kind of opened that up a little bit to be a bit more open, but it was very linear in its design. Spyro was never that. Spyro from day one, because they were so aggressive in how they pushed the technology, it felt very, very open.
And it's like an answer to Mario, right? Mario
Yes.
64.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, there's... As someone who played Spyro and Crash, I go back, I play Mario and I'm like, this seems sloppy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like Mario 64, the level, like, sure, at the time, absolutely revolutionary.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue that
Oh,
it
yeah.
paved the way for games to come, 4 billion %.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now it feels clunky as hell.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Even playing on the DS remake, which kind of tightened a little, like, kind of
Smidge.
some of the mechanics.
Yeah, can't.
The level design, sure, it's open, but it's also empty.
Very empty.
Nothing there.
Like, there's not a
nothing
whole
there.
lot.
It's just birds and trees.
Yeah, like the Spyro games 1, 2, and 3 had open levels, but they were a little bit smaller, so they weren't like, look at how big our levels are.
Yeah.
They showed some restraint, and then they filled it with stuff,
Oh, there's so much
and
stuff.
that makes it so much, I think, concise, but obviously not linear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that makes these games hold up a lot more. I'm coming from the perspective not only as a as a 4-year-old today, but I've gone through and I've speedrun some of these games. So
you're really good at it.
I've
too.
gone through and I've played Spyro 1. I've collected everything the 120% in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, you're pretty damn good at it.
Not a great time.
I watched you do it,
I
though.
was
Like, you're very
69th on the leaderboard at one point. That's
Were
my
you
claim to
like-
fame.
You can't
Nice.
do wrong with
Nice.
69th. Nice.
And that's why, obviously, Dad. The moment I picked up Spyro 1 remastered, I was like, sick, let's 120% this. No. Like, a lot of these jumps, some of the egg thieves, the people are like, oh, this goddamn thing. Like, they were a non-issue for me as a speedrunner because I know, okay, cool, this is exactly how they route. This is exactly how to try and utilize the mechanics.
Yeah.
Not as easy to jump straight over to remastered trilogy. As a casual player, non-issue. If you're trying to collect everything, it'll obviously be a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
But that's frustrating for casual players generally anyway.
Yeah.
Spyro 2 and 3, it feels a little bit less... It's changed less, I feel like, for 2 and 3, maybe because a lot of the level design there is a bit more forgiving. They kind of learn from their mistakes in Spyro 1, where some of those levels can be a little bit harsh. But 2 and 3 feels a lot better as far as level design goes, and it's interesting because I haven't spoken much about visuals, which is kind of the big thing. They've taken some liberties where you kind of wouldn't expect. Like, there's obviously insane levels of detail in these levels,
Oh, yeah.
but there's like insane detail where there was literally no detail previously. So they kind of had to like make it up as they went. And so you'll see like chunks of a level, completely different colors, like not layouts. The layout is still the same.
Yeah.
How you interact with the level is still the same. But some levels look pretty radically different.
Because they had nothing to work with
They had
previously.
basically
so it was just
nothing
like
to
a
work with.
wall.
Yeah.
So they've just sort of ad-libbed.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly. And it works. Yeah. So I'm still playing. I finished the first game already, halfway through the second, and I quickly smashed out a little bit of the third before I rocked up. And I've basically gotten through 25% of the game. It's fine. Just getting through the game. Oh, also, sidebar, Sheila, the kangaroo, really good Australian voice actor.
Oh, really?
Did not expect.
Is
Oh
she
my
actually
God.
Australian?
Well, I mean, I bought it. There's some lines where you're like, that seems a little bit unusual.
Oh,
like,
be
there's a
curious.
few words, but obviously, like, in the PS1 era, they were like, let's just like over like show how much Australia, like not like not like Dead Island level Australian, where it's like really awkward. Like,
don't get me started on Dead Island. All right, horrible game.
We got a bunch of New Zealand voice actors in case you forgot how Australians sound. It's not how that works, guys. No, Sheila actually sounds like a really good Australian voice actor.
That's
or at least
really good.
A good voice actor that can do Australian. And also just all of the voice acting across the board is actually really good.
That's awesome. Really good to hear.
Like for a game that had voice acting across the board to begin with. It's
to actually get it back and be good as
and
well.
be like not only like better than what it was then, but stand up today.
Yeah.
Because like I've always said, like platformers, I feel like a way you see the best and expressive character design come through.
Oh yeah,
stuff like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter. Like you go back to Jak and Daxter on PS2, a lot of that holds up really, really well.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of detail obviously not, but the animation, holy crap!
Big time.
Toys for Bob, the devs, have done a phenomenal job in making these characters feel expressive without betraying the characters that they were 20 years ago. I think that's an incredible feat they've done.
Yeah.
Spyro Remastered Trilogy. Is there any other questions? Any class? Raise your hands.
Should I buy it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah? You think I'd enjoy it?
Well, I mean, the slightly lower price point kind of helps a little bit with that.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not looking at like $100 game.
Nintendo.
Depending on you know on your retailer, you could be looking at anywhere between 60 and 80.
Oh, sick.
Even for the top end of that 80, I think that you're getting a lot of content and a lot of fun and a lot of nostalgia. And even if you didn't play the originals, if you're like, I played Banjo-Kazooie and Mario 64, what's this Spyro thing? I kind of enjoyed Crash, I guess. I was kind of bad at it, but like Spyro is more of a playground than it is a obstacle course.
Awesome. I'd love to give it a go because I think I gave it a go with like the later games. I was so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. I was just lost the whole time.
And
I think that's exactly what you said, and it actually brought it all the way back around that I was a Banjo-Kazooie kid.
Yeah.
So I was like, what am I meant to do here? And like it's just like, just play. I'm like, no.
I need to collect and finish missions.
I want to finish this game. It's just like, no, just play. No.
Spyro 2 and 3 you'll have a better time with if you're coming from a Banjo-Kazooie kind of perspective.
All right.
Mario 64, I don't know how people exist that played 64 as a child.
Hi, that was me.
Like no, but like I'm like trying to wrap my head like I can insert into like, okay, as a Banjo-Kazooie player as a kid, cool, this is the jumping in point for Spyro.
Yeah.
With Mario,
well, the thing, like,
it's a better Mario, but like obviously that's offensive.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, if like I got from 64 to Banjo-Kazooie, and I would say Banjo-Kazooie is a lot better than 64. Is like it's a good game. It's a good little romp, but it doesn't hold up these days. It's very blamed.
And I will also say, Spyro Reignited Trilogy stands up next to Crash Insane Trilogy, stands up next to Mario Odyssey.
Oh wow! So yeah, there you
like,
go. I really love
as
your
far as the scope. As far as the scope,
You're out of line, son.
That's why I'm going to qualify, matey.
matey.
Grandpa.
Oh, whipped out the old words.
He said son.
Son.
He baited. I'm like, I'll take that. The scope of Mario Odyssey, obviously, like 999 moons.
Yeah.
Massive, huge, insane, ridiculous.
Insane trilogy.
Got him. Spyro is not that much content. You do not have to be as crafty with your platforming as Mario, but I think as a casual player that came in and played Mario Odyssey and reviewed Mario Odyssey and was like, yeah, it's a 3D platformer, I'm loving it. I'm also coming from the perspective of Spyro going, look, this is also, it holds up today.
Yeah.
It feels really good. The scope is there for what they're asking for it. Does that satisfy you, matey potato?
No.
It doesn't.
Whatever.
Damn.
I'll have to agree to disagree, I guess.
That's fine. Look,
We've got some infighting here, guys.
I didn't come here to try and...
Got an episode of The Real Housewives.
I didn't come here to cater to the boomers.
I didn't mean to take a turn on your review.
The Real Housewives of
So just starting getting real spicy. Spyro Reignited Trilogy is available now on PS4 and Xbox One. I like it more than Mario Odyssey. If you don't, that's your problem. Caitlin.
Yes.
Hi, Caitlin.
This is your first time on the show.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. This is good. It's just like hanging out, talking about games.
That's
like,
exactly all it is.
That's what I'm usually doing in my time.
It's such hard work talking
so
about
hard.
games.
Alright, guys.
It's about to get harder because I'm about to get you to
dear.
ask. I'm going to get you to talk about your favorite game.
My game.
The gum.
Beautiful.
This game is so cute. I cannot.
Because I've seen a lot of it, and I've seen
good
this
fun.
incredible community around Night of the Woods.
Yeah.
But I am yet to jump into it
God,
a
it's
year
cute.
and a half after release. Why should I?
Alright, why should you? Well, I mean, supporting indie games, first and
Fair.
foremost. This was a Kickstarter project that Finji did. And yeah, it's just beautiful. It's a real labour of love, and you can really tell that it's a labour of love. Like,
Where do you start?
where do I start? I don't even know.
Paint the picture. What is the setting? Who are
Okay.
you? What's going on?
So the setting is Possum Springs, which, if anyone has ever grown up in a tiny little rural town that is slowly dying, which I did,
I'm so sorry.
then you can understand. You are a little. All the characters are cats and
Perfect.
dogs and all
Just
sorts
animals
of animals.
in general.
They're all adorable. You are playing as May, who is a little cat girl. She has just dropped out of college and she has come
Big
home.
mood.
Yeah, she basically has come home because she just wants to come back to her safe space, and she thinks everything's going to be the same, and
Spoilers.
that's what she wants.
It's not.
Spoilers, it's not. Yeah, and you basically are just her, and you follow her around as she reconnects with her friends,
Has knife fights.
has knife fights, does crimes.
Does crime. Do you do a crime?
Does crimes, yeah, petty theft, all that sort of stuff.
What a life after dropping out of college. Jesus.
She's a bit of a rebel, but
So great.
yeah, it's a great game. The writing is fantastic.
So as far as the gameplay goes,
Yeah.
you're not there, press X to knife fight. Like, is it, like, what is...
You kind of are, though.
well,
No,
I'm sure at some
no.
point probably press X to knife fight, but what is, like, speak a little bit to the gameplay, because I feel like it is like the world that you're looking at is a 2D
It's a 2D,
plane, so
yep.
it's kind of like 2D side-scrolling,
Yep.
but it's obviously not a platformer,
No.
but there's a lot of involved story, but it's not a visual novel.
Yeah, so essentially it does go sort of day by day. You go out, you have set things that you can do in that day. So May wakes up, she goes downstairs, says hi to her parents, goes out, and you can decide what she does. If she wants to go hang out with this friend, or if she wants to hang out with this friend.
Oh, no one.
Yep, or no one. They go do band practice together. They can go to a party. There's like a little Halloween festival.
And
and
she gets really drunk.
where she gets super drunk.
It's such
And
a
yells
mood.
at her ex-boyfriend. It's very relatable. But yeah, so you sort of take each day as it comes, do what you want to do. The town is like kind of a little 2D open world, so you can
Right.
It's
run
so
around.
cute.
There's a lot of little side characters that you can chat to. There's a lot of places that you can explore, like you can run along the power lines and
you're a cat.
jump, yeah, and jump inside like an abandoned theater and set up these two musicians to play together. There's all sorts of things.
It sounds very open to the point where there's not, like, is this kind of like a linear story?
It is a linear story.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can do whatever you want to do, but you will go to bed at the end of the day and the next day will be different. So
Right.
each day moves the story along. There's different chapters in the game. So there's sort of like a part 1 where you come home, you reconnect with your friends. Part 2, you sort of forming those connections a bit more. If you spend more time with one friend, you'll get to know more about them.
But it's not like so I guess the part where, like, it's a linear story, but you're not on rails because you have the opportunity to
Yeah.
kind of check in with different characters
Yeah,
and
yeah.
build different relationships.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. it's just got a lot of like positives, and I think, I don't know, I just really connected with it for a lot of reasons. It has really good LGBT plus
yeah.
representation.
In May?
May, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's a scene where May goes to a party, she meets a cute girl, they get along really well. One of the main characters and her best friend Greg, his boyfriend Angus
love
features
Greg.
really heavily, and you can get all of his backstory. It deals with a lot of issues that young people sort of face,
Like mental health.
A lot of mental health
yeah.
focus on that game. That's what I really liked about it.
I like that too. Like, it does make it quite easy to connect with, and like May's whole reason for coming home was that she just wasn't dealing with everything at college, sort
Right.
of thing. So you kind of uncover things about each character.
And you see her kind of working through those challenges with other characters.
With other characters, sort of
Definitely
having
with
to...
her parents,
With
too.
her parents, having to reconnect with her parents and...
Having to.
because
she's staying with them.
Because she's been like an angsty brat to begin with. And
Right.
her parents don't really get it, and they're like, "Oh, why'd you drop out of college?" She's like, "Just because I wanted to."
Yeah.
And
That's not exhausting? From your perspective as a
no,
player?
no, because like the conversations between the parents and May, it's basically what a lot of people have gone through with
Right.
either
Yeah.
mental health or talking about your future, that sort of thing. It's like you feel for May, but then you also feel for the parents who are just like, we just want the best for you, and she's just like, it's just like, oh god.
Yeah, you do definitely have moments where you're like, oh my god, she's such a pain in the ass. But then you have moments where you like really, really understand where she's coming from as well.
You understand why she's being a pain in the ass.
Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like quite heavy, but it's actually really funny. The writing is like hilarious.
It breaks
and
up the
really
heavy
cute.
with like the cute and
Yeah.
the knife fights and like and like really like lovely moments where they just like eat donuts.
Yeah.
Like that's an interactive.
That's an
moment
interactive
where
thing. You
eat
can just
donuts.
shove donuts in your mouth until you
And-
feel sick. It's very good.
Yeah, and like you eat dumplings too. Like it's like really wholesome and then like really real.
Yeah.
It's like this delightful little game that sort of came out of nowhere that actually talks about being like at that weird stage in your life
Yeah.
of like young adult.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really good.
There's a lot of mini games in it too.
Yeah.
Now that
Knife
you've just
fight.
pointed out, that, like knife fight, the dumpling thing. So there's a big, for some reason, there's a big like concentration on Eastern European immigration in the area. So they talk about like pierogies, which is like a little Russian dumpling, a lot.
Yeah, heaps
and
of
you can
pierogies.
like one of the mini games is you aiming pierogies into your friend's mouth. And get them in.
And you hit him in the face and
There's like there's
Oh, God.
rhythm. There's like a rhythm game where you like
you play the guitar.
Yeah.
Like
You
it's
play
like
the
Guitar Hero.
yeah.
God.
And if you do terribly, everyone's like, "Wow,
That was awful. What's wrong with
oh,
you?
you suck, May. What's going on?" And she's just like, "I don't know this song." Like, yeah,
It's
God.
so wholesome.
But then towards the end, it does get really intense and very full on, and sort of asks a lot of big questions. There's
Rather confrontational.
yeah, but in a really interesting way
Yeah.
as well. Yeah,
Beautiful.
No spoilers, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's
no
good.
spoilers.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
imagine
very
because
good.
the way that you're kind of navigating around it is like, I really goddamn love this story, but I can't speak too much to it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of it. Like, that's the reason
Yeah.
that you're there. Like, it's a narrative-driven game,
Hugely.
and all of like the mini games and the platforming and the talking
Mm.
that contributes to the story. So that's really what you're getting into the game for, right?
Yeah, for sure. The story is like, yeah, it's very big and very asks a lot of really big questions, but it sort of takes you there in a really nice way.
Yeah.
Like it
You don't feel like you're just
eases
like,
you into it.
bang,
Yeah.
here's some important stuff
Yeah.
that you
Do
didn't know
want
was
some,
coming.
Like, full-on stuff.
Exposition, like no,
Yeah.
it doesn't do that. It sort of just leads you up into these points where you actually feel like organic, like you're living your life as May.
But, yeah.
It's where all these theories have come from, that whether or not this whole cat thing was like a dream that you're living, or it's like
These conspiracies.
Oh yeah, I've
conspiracy
seen like
theories
things saying all the different animals represent their like personality
Yeah,
traits,
yeah.
and like it's a good game.
Cool.
You should get
it's
it.
a very, very good game.
It's actually available across everything,
Everything.
now
Yeah.
as well. Because when it first came out, I got it. It was on PC,
On PC,
and
yeah.
it was great. And then it sort of came out across everything, and it's even like Switch and Xbox.
That's because I
now.
saw it come out on Switch, and I'm like, oh, do I jump in? Do I get into it?
You should.
Because I'm like,
so
obviously,
cute.
right now in baby game mode between like Spyro and like, oh, but I mean, like everyone else is playing like Red Dead and Black Ops,
Yeah.
like we're in
Yeah,
AAA
and you're
season,
like,
and I'm like,
Spyro.
I'm gonna be a 6-year-old by and just Spyro and Pokemon.
It's baby time.
100%. And also like this really like cute like dungeon crawler called I've actually forgotten the name of it. That speaks to how much I love it. But it's just it reminds me of like Pokemon Dungeon. So I'm like, I think going from like that to like Night in the Woods, I feel like is a pretty significant shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still
Yeah.
a cartoon thing.
It
You
is.
can still
And there
wholesome
is
it.
like a little tiny mini game that you can play within the game.
Oh my God, there is,
You
isn't
know,
there?
Demon Tower, when you open
Yeah.
her laptop back up
you
after
can-
clearing all the porn off of it, you can play like this little game called Demon Tower where you just run around in a little
God.
dungeon.
It's so
Just reminded me about Boyfriend Dungeon. I'm waiting for that game to come out as well.
What?
We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
Night in the Woods. Night in the Woods is out now on basically everything. PS4, Xbox One, I believe it is.
Yes.
Obviously PC, Switch, and then like, I don't know, do a Google search if you want to see if it's on your phone.
Yeah.
Nerd.
probably is. Honestly.
Apparently it's coming out later. Not yet.
Not yet, so it's soon.
Soon. Yeah.
Soon.
McLovin it, beautiful.
Mick loving it.
Thank you for that, Caitlin.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Copyright strike.
No.
Oh no.
Don't talk about copyright strikes. It's a very sore topic for me right now. That is the end of the show for this week on that sore topic. How dare you? We'll be back same time next week. We love and appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
Love you all. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.